Hi, I'm Ken Hall, and I'm an apple grower from northern Illinois. And with my wife, Barb, we run a family orchard business called Edwards Orchard at Poplar Grove, Illinois. We've been here since the 1980s, but my father-in-law, Robert Edwards, started the orchard in 1964. And we have been here with about 14 family members, most recently operating a retail on-farm market. Don't do anything off the farm. Everything's grown and marketed right here. So my introduction to IDFTA came through my father-in-law. When I moved from my university job to the farm in 1984, Bob drugged me along to a meeting, I think it was in Michigan, and I met Bob and Shirley Carlson at the very first. They were at the registration table, and they said to my father-in-law, "Oh, what's he doing?" And said he could work at registration. So I got roped into registration desk at my very first conference, and my first grower that I had to hand a packet to, I asked his name. And the person behind him said, "You don't know Grady Oval?" And of course I was new to the apple industry. I'd come from row crop area, and so I got to meet Grady Oval as my first client helping at registration at IDFTA, and that's been among many opportunities to meet some outstanding horticulturists and growers in the United States and throughout the world. I would have been, as somewhat of an introvert, I would have probably stuck to the farm had Jim Eckert, marketer and grower also from Illinois, talked me into joining the organization and becoming a regular attendee, and it's been a blessing in many, many ways. Just from the get-go, I had people like Elwyn Hardy and Don May and Evan Milburn take me aside and try to teach me the ropes about IDFTA. And then it was the Dwarf Fruit Tree Association. Later on, after I'd been in the organization a while, the dwarf name went away, but originally I knew it as International Dwarf Fruit Tree Association, and of course Bob and Shirley Carlson were the big leaders of the time. So I hung around this organization and loved it enough that I didn't miss too many conferences and summer tours in the early years. Remember going to Grady Ovals and going to Don Heineke's and just being really impressed with the way other people were growing trees. And so the opportunity, I was asked if I would be willing to serve on the board in 1996, and I think the meeting where I went in on the board was in Penticton, British Columbia. And at this point, you know, this farm kid with not much horticultural background, my brain is just expanding. My knowledge is expanding rapidly just because you're around all these great growers and people willing to share information and growing techniques and just even life advice. So I took that spot on the board, and I served on that for 7 or 8 years, and then another longtime member, Steve Blizzard, twisted my arm and asked me if I'd take a turn as president on the board, which was not my skill set, but I did. And again, the knowledge and the experience and the interaction with growers that you get by serving on a board and taking some leadership, it was just a fantastic time in my grower life. And I have friends all over the world because of those experiences in IFTA. And at the end of my term, the very next president, Bennett Saunders, went through the process of changing the name and dropping the dwarf name in the organization because dwarf was assumed. Now, no growers in the world were planting standard trees. Everything was dwarfing rootstocks, and so big leaps forward for myself and for the organization over the years. It's been quite a run. So at some point we made some decisions to take the organization for its conferences, for its annual conference, to international sites, and we did New Zealand was, I think, the first one that I went to, and it was just a fantastic experience. Different part of the world, southern hemisphere, so much to learn. I was president when we went to Italy and Germany and got a chance to use my high school German a little bit. Did the Hobart, Tasmania one in the southern hemisphere again. Did Chile and Argentina for another tour. And every time you go internationally, you just expand your knowledge, and you meet people who, believe it or not, you will see in the future when they come to your farm or you're traveling, and it's one of the many blessings of IFTA. So some of us as members of IFTA had the opportunity to serve on the Rootstock Research Committee, where growers get direct input to ideas and funding for applied research, which I don't know that there's a model anywhere else where growers have that much interaction with the researchers and actually have some funding input into the research that's done. And then beyond that, we struggled with the ups and downs of the commercial industry with funding, because some of our funding for research came through, for example, nurserymen. And so we wanted to create something that would give us more level funding through the years, and we established a group of growers established a research foundation, which is still a project in development, but I think several $100,000 worth of funds have been accumulated with the idea that the earnings off those would sustain research on and for future generations, and continue to fund the applied research that we see as important for growers in all parts of the world. So why should you join and attend IFTA? When young growers come to me, or people that are thinking about getting into the apple business, it's the first place I send them, is to an IFTA conference. Just so they can get sort of a baptism by fire, just exposed to the research, exposed to the other growers, ride on the buses and meet new people who will become lifelong friends. It's an organization that it's made up mostly of givers. A few years ago I read a book about givers and takers. I think it was called My Ishmael, and this organization is made up of givers. There are a lot of people who give their time and energy and share information like no other organization I've been part of. It makes the world a lot smaller, and it raises all boats, so to speak. You can benefit from attending and being part of this organization, so I'd encourage you to do it.